try and stop me, man.
I know. That's the beauty of it all. All right. I think we're live now. So here
Okay.
again, I have my guest today, Cara St. Oh, I can't say enough about this woman, and just to be in your energy and to do all the kind of talking and sharing that we've been doing has been huge. It really has been helping me along the way in my own work on the Holy Grail, and bringing it through in the visual creative aspects as the artist healer that I am. And so we're going to talk a bit today about a little bit about the work that you're doing and some of the movements and the ebbs and flow of it all. So I just want to introduce you to my audience today here at Circle Healing Network. We're just going to settle back and we're going to let Cara do what she does best, which is share the inner workings of her being. Love you, girl.
Just talk. Don't let Robin kid you. She's done just as much in this relationship as I've done. It's one of those things that comes along. It's one of those things that comes along, and it just becomes a beautiful connection because the give and take. You get into this stream as we do, and it's like boom, 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 and it's like higher, 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 or fuller, 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 fuller. And I would imagine all our human relationships are supposed to be like that. Mm-hmm. But when you can tap into the energy because you're in the right time, in the right place, and it's a cosmic appointment, guys. It's a cosmic appointment. We set these appointments for ourselves. We simply have to know that they are there, that they happen. And when you meet the person who's like the next, it's like the cosmic tumblers, whoosh, and they fall into place in a certain way. And then something springs open. And when one thing springs open, then lots and lots and lots of things spring open. And we've been talking about lots of things that we share in common that we've kind of been coming at from different angles, but not so different that we certainly don't understand each other's journey or what we're looking at and what we're looking for and the doors that we're going through. And they're really mystery schools in a lot of ways. I know Robin's been talking about one, and I certainly got kicked into one years ago. But listen, I have to say, it always goes back. I'm just going to ramble a little bit, and she doesn't mind. She knows that's the way I work. And if she has a way she wants to direct the conversation, she will, and that's also fine. One of the things I want to say before I forget, though, is we've been talking, because I'm going to circle back out of it, we've been talking about the divine feminine. Now, listen, the Jupiter return in June of 2012 was kind of this sort of entry level into an absolute return of the divine feminine on this planet and in this space that we're in. So it's time for a recognition, really, I suppose, of the divine feminine that presents some issues for the world in which we live. I happen to believe, and people may argue with me, and that's okay, that's great, but I happen to believe that we've only been in a patriarchy as long as we've had a Vatican. I don't think that we've had a patriarchy. I don't think that the world is set up that way, and I don't think it really bothered anybody that we had this sort of divine feminine portal. There is such a thing as a sacred masculine as well. And when I talk about the sacred masculine, that goes back to my work in social engineering. And I honestly got a little bit angry when I started doing that work, because not only has the sacred masculine been, beaten to a pulp and shoved under a carpet and all that, but because of that, it in addition, by the same entities, the sacred feminine has been taking a beating as well. Don't let anybody kid you. Interestingly enough, when I did a lecture in Holland not too long ago, I was doing an interview right after it. And one of the fellows, Arjan Bos, asked me a question. He said, what is one of the ways that you have been brainwashed in your life? Because he knew I'd said something about it in the lecture, but had not realized what I was saying. And so I thought, oh my gosh, you know how I know exactly one of the major primary ways. As a child growing up in the 60s and the 70s in the United States, I was taught And this was feminism. This was this militant feminism that was thrust upon us as women. I was taught that the worst thing that could possibly ever befall me was that I would become a mom and perhaps want to stay home with my children for as long as I could, and that sort of thing.
Right.
You know, and I realized that what I was saying was brainwashing, because for the longest time when I was talking about that aspect of the social engineering of the 20th century, I would literally look over my shoulder every time I said that, because I thought, you know, like somebody's going to get me. Somebody's going to get me. You know, I'm saying something so wrong. You know, I'm talking about the sacred. Anyway, so I've tried very hard to live in a space thinking I was doing a good thing, and I was doing a good thing, but really additionally staying in my comfy zone.
Right.
Was which Robin knows. It's also my comfy zone to be very, very tough, you know, very get the job done. I'm a Western girl. That means something.
Yes,
I grew up in the Southwest, you know. All my uncles were ranchers. They spent all their days on the back of a horse with a rifle. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
This is my sensibility, and absolutely really proud of that, actually, because I think it's a very sovereign gesture. It's a very sovereign gesture. However, and frankly, once I entered the arena with the other activists talking about the things I was talking about, I was one of the very few women. It's really like everything else, it's a good old boys club. And it was really probably only 4 or 5 of the guys who considered me to be an equal, who protected me against the bullshit. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Okay, that was being lobbied at me and volleyed at me from day one. This nonsense they tried to drown me in because I'm authentic, and all authentic activists suffer. We do not have marketing companies. We do not have any of that. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't care. Are you there? There you are. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody behind me with bajillion dollars in contracts and all that stuff. Okay. I'm bringing authentic stuff.
Right.
When that happens, it looks like this. Now, also, okay. So the other thing I want to bring up, because this is I want to bring this up because God bless my mother for handing me this. You know, I will say this till the day I die. She knew I was going to take the ball and run with it. She knew that we came here for this reason, the 2 of us together. Yeah. I always say that she was the code and I was the decoder ring, and we came in the same cereal box, you know? Anyway, so she sent me this wonderful book that I wrote, I guess we should say we wrote it together, called Sun Thief. It was not my first book, but it was the first book that got me any attention in this arena. And in that book, I put down every vision that came to me, or you know, that was, everything is in there that she brought. Everything is in there that she brought. And I will often talk about a particular vision because, well, there's just a lot going on with it. You may have heard this before, but let me tell you the story again. She's sitting in a break room somewhere. I'm going to assume it's Virginia, but it looks like it's, you know, a very typical break room with a sink and maybe a refrigerator and some counter space and some not so great fluorescent lighting and a table. And she's sitting at the table, long table. And the only thing in front of her is a yellow legal pad, which is something that we recognize in this country. And I can't see what's on it, except across the top it says top secret. Mm-hmm. And one thing she did use words in this, was to say that she had tried to stop them. I still don't know that bit. I don't know what that means. But she was also sitting there smoking a cigarette, which we will go back to, and eating a caramel, which are 2 things she never, ever, 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 ever did. It was so odd. She was a classically trained soprano. There's no way she was going to be smoking a cigarette. She had so much bridge work. There was no way she was going to be eating a caramel. Anyway, while she's sitting there, all this liquid starts to come down the walls and up out of the sink and across the floor. And the only way I could describe it was to call it sort of the consistency and color of antifreeze. Okay. Later on, I'm watching a show, and there's this fellow who talks a million miles an hour, David Griffin, is talking about an incident in the Gulf of Mexico. His take on the black goo one of his stories about the black goo was on a particular day in 2010. Every country who had a nuclear sub in that Gulf. And they were, in fact, not trying to bring up oil. They were trying to bring up black goo. And all of the countries, everybody was trying to get it first. Turned out, according to this story, I'm sorry, my son's got a little cold.
Mm-hmm.
According to this story, the French managed to get some of it, but on this particular day, that submarine had to surface because so many French sailors had died that the goo was killing them. And anyway, they had to surface. So the reason I know that this story is true in some way that's very, very important, whether it's factually true, metaphorically true, factually and metaphorically true, it's true. I'm telling you, this is an authentic story in some way because it happened the day my mother died. It happened on 7/11. And anytime I'm on the right track, I get a 7/11 from my mom.
Right.
This is her sign to me that I'm on the right track, or it's the big one. It's the big one, okay?
Right. Uh-huh.
Now, I have been saying for a couple of years, I guess it was David Icke I told that story to first, because I had that epiphany at the People's Voice. And he was the only person within 10 miles that I knew that could hear that story without thinking I was insane. Did I ever tell you that?
Yeah, you did.
I told Mikey about that. Okay.
Go ahead.
Anyway, but nobody has ever come up with what the cigarettes or the caramel was about until Robin did a couple days ago. Robin got in touch with me and she said, "Oh my God, I know what it is. I know what it is. I know what it is." She said the smoke is for black. It's black smoke, black.
Yeah.
And the caramel is for goo, sticky stuff.
Yep.
Mom. Mom.
And what was crazy, because it went black, I saw cigarette tar, the tar that comes up, coats the lung in the blackness, the goo, with the sticky gooey goo. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, the craziest thing about it is I always thought that the black goo was Harold Calzavella's side of this story. I had no, other than verifying that it existed clearly, and listening with an open mind and an open heart to his stories about it, I figured it was Harold's side of the story. Now, Harold has always said there were two kinds.
There's definitely two kinds. Absolutely.
There's two kinds. Yep. There's one that comes from outside this, away from this planet, from outer space, I suppose you might say.
Through the portal.
And it's artificial intelligence. It's an artificial intelligence. It's the one that invades our computers. It's the one that urges our less secure people on this planet to exercise transhumanism. Right. All of those things. And then there's the one that belongs to the earth. And this is something that people have been talking about for a long time. It's something that is naturally produced by the earth. It is, as Robin suggested, it's the blood of the earth. Now, I'm going to run with that. I'm going to like talk with her about that. I'm going to go with that because I've been talking about blood so much lately. I've been talking about the blood of human beings. I talked about that with Dan Schreiber more than once.
The iron next to your Fey work.
Yep, and how it's different from plant blood. I've been talking about plants. The only difference between the blood of plants and the blood of humans is iron. Iron is really, really important. Now, every September, we have the Perseid meteor shower where iron is hurled at this planet. This is a very esoteric thing.
Very.
And if the Earth's blood is this, I want to come up with a different term, though. Well, I don't want to call it black goo.
Let me just share this real quickly.
Okay.
Is when this came to me during dream time, and I'll show you those writings, about 2.5 years ago, when all this was really surfacing, Mother Earth came to me, as she often does during my dream time, which is lucid, and shared this with me, being the lifeblood, everything we talked about the other day. And it ties so perfectly into your work, which is why I'm glad we have the opportunity to share as we do, because it helps my work as well. But she was saying, true to the deceptive nature of, the powers that be, the D was dropped for good, the black good, because black is the good aspect of everything. It's the opportunity for transformation, etc. So what's coming from the earth is good, but she showed me that it has the nature of Kali Durga. So
let's call it black good then from now on, shall we?
Yes.
Let's just do that.
So go
black
ahead.
Good. There's black goo and there's black good. Let's
Good.
do that because I like to do that.
Yeah.
This goes along with everything I feel about the idea that the apex predator right now is probably an artificial intelligence of some sort, forcing us into a duality, forcing us into a binary situation when we are anything but binary. We are all the numbers. It is so important that we know that. And the first way they try to cut us off and back us down to 2 is by cutting off the nuclear family, which in fact is 1, 2, 3. Mother, child, mother, father, child. It's that's the first initial 3 that they're trying to sever us from. Yeah.
Right.
And also one of the most important things I think that I was taught that I need to, that I try to teach and that I need to remember as well and tell you is this idea that there is an artificial, it's not everything and there is an authentic everything.
Yes.
There's everything that there's artificial intelligence. The computer is a dim replica of a human brain, and I really mean that, a dim replica of a human brain.
Right.
Telephones and things like that are replicas, inauthentic communication systems that we don't need. We don't need them. The Fae didn't use them, and I would postulate that up until a few hundred years ago, we didn't need them. What we know about our world right now is untrue. It's 100% untrue. We are not who we think we are. We are not who we've been taught to be. Now, one of the things, and there's really just 2 things I want to talk about, and then maybe Robin will have some questions or something. I don't know. Yeah. But she also brought this idea to me of the divine feminine. She knows that right now I'm personally at a crossroads again. Oh, good. Another one.
It doesn't stop, my friend.
Because listen, it's not just like
it's over.
It's not like just like a crosswords. It's like, oh, good, the house is burning down. Oh, look, you know what I mean? It's like my crossroads are cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's okay. That's all right. I made this agreement when I came in, and I knew it was all coming. So wham, right? Okay. Anyway, but this crossroads is personal. This crossroads is more personal because I really do believe in the divine feminine. But I believe in it in the sense that I don't think it means we abandon the divine masculine, which is always been a worry for me. Exactly. Always been a worry for me. We're all here for a reason, and we all matter.
Right. Exactly.
This like almost brings tears to my eyes right now. That's part of it for me. I have sons. I have brothers. Okay, or I had a brother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all matter. So let's not get into that feminist trap that we were in before, which was the only way to elevate the woman, a female, is by denigrating the male. That cannot ever be our pattern anymore.
Ever. It's got to be the balancing of both. I mean, it goes back to a lot of the work that I've done on the creative aspects of the right brain, but it goes back to the emotional quotient, which is about to be a balanced person emotionally, your EQ, it's got to be the balancing of the male and feminine in you. That's what gives you that balance. And when you come to that point of balance, you're at your most creative aspects. So we've lived in a society, as you said, through the entrainment that causes one to be more dominant than the other. And as long as you stay like that, you're kind of walking like this half the time. But it's about both holding, and they're both in both aspects of the male and female body. We're both holding the embodiment of the divine feminine and masculine. And that was also the trick, to make us think that the divine masculine only went with the masculine body and the divine feminine only went with the feminine body. But no.
No, that's not what it is. That's not what it is.
At all.
In fact, the etheric body is the opposite sex.
Yes.
My etheric is masculine. Robin's etheric is masculine.
Exactly.
My physicality right now is as a woman. So we have both in us all the time. The other thing that I talk about all the time, which really has only been half of the puzzle, and my dear friends help me sort of suss things out, as Robin has done. I always talk about the seat of the imagination being in the heart mind, and the heart mind resonating at a frequency that the predator cannot locate. They cannot locate it. They have not got the capability of experiencing that frequency. So that heart mind is where the imagination is, which is why they're so busy trying to make our arms and legs do what they want it to do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
But the divine feminine is also the seat of what's next. The divine feminine is also the seat of recreation. It is the seat of protection. It is all of those things. And so those things have to be brought together. And there cannot be any trepidation. There cannot be any fear. There cannot be any reticence,
Yes.
because it's a real leap of faith to assume that something that has been classified as soft and yielding and all of those things, very much like water,
The divine earth water as well, along with her black good.
We need to get back into that space as well.
Yes.
And so,
Definitely.
yeah, so I've been kicking and punching my way into this arena because I had something to say, and I had to do it that way because I wasn't getting in any other way.
Exactly.
They were not going to let me in unless I forced my way in, unless I punched and kicked and karate chopped and got louder than they did. Right?
Yes. Exactly.
So now I'm here, but the rest of the message still has to come,
Right.
which means that I have to, inhabit my own sacred feminine. I mean, when I do this, I spend a lot of time in water. I've always done that. If I'm sitting beside a waterfall, I'm practically catatonic. I'm just gone.
Yeah.
Right? Water is really important when it comes to me bringing this stuff.
One of the things I wanted to say real quickly with regards to what you were saying a minute ago about the whole process of the AI and the connectiveness to the body is the idea that, and I know as a mom yourself and me, and I talk to so many women about the same exact thing, which is once you give birth, there's a natural connecting that happens to the heart mind. And if you hadn't connected to it before, then you most certainly will once you give birth. It's something about the womb, the root chakra, the heart chakra, and the pineal gland that connect almost in that moment of birth. And it opens you up to the divine understanding. However, you live in a society that's disconnected us, that so many women don't necessarily know what's going on. And I believe that is when the predator began to really insert the agenda. It had everything to do with cesarean births and the forcing of cesarean birth, because if it's taken from you and it doesn't come through the birth canal to connect all those neural networks back to the heart and the pineal gland, you disconnect from the heart intelligence, which allows the artificial intelligence to really take over the body and the being that was birthed, because it doesn't get the neural connecting of the mom. So that's another thing, back to what you were saying,
Yeah, there's that divine I talk about inspiration, expiration, and conspiration. Okay, we inspire, we expire, we conspire. Okay, there's a different meaning to conspiracy, guys.
Yes,
there is, and it has to do with breathing. It's all in the breath. And when a baby comes through the birth canal, not only is its skin activated, which is its primary sense for a really long time, but as it's coming out, it gets that divine breath. It's that divine breath. So yes, the cesarean.
And what's interesting just now with us talking, I mean, I get these visuals going, but we were to connect it back to what we were just talking about earlier, the idea of the divine water, the elixir, which is the breaking of the sac, so the water that breaks. Then you have the birthing of the entity, the being coming into the world, and it's followed by the placenta sac, the black goo. Everything is always the black good. It's always repeated. Everything is repeated. The truth is repeated.
It's all there, all around us. But boy, we sure have been taught not to see it, haven't we? We have been taught to completely ignore it all. Ignore it. That's one of the things. That's one of our jobs right now. It's a job for all of us right now. And one of the ways we can do that is to get our own thoughts back. I said this not too long ago, probably said it to Robin already. She has to listen to all this stuff 6 or 7 times.
I don't mind. I love hearing it over and over again.
Okay. Well, I had discovered not too long ago that the only way to get people to listen right now, since they are so entrained right now with problem, reaction, solution, and they are entrained and they are addicted to adrenaline. We are absolutely, they've got us by our addictions. They've got us by the short hairs by addicting us to so much. And you have no idea what you're addicted to. I'm not talking about smack and stuff like that.
No,
I'm talking about other stuff. Anyway, which I will write about shortly.
absolutely.
I realized that I had to bring about 75% bad news before I could get people to hear the 25% good news.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they weren't going to listen to me. I had to
No.
terrorize them a little bit, which means you preamble with, and it's all useful. It's all useful. It's just that I did not realize I had to do it all together, no matter what. I had to go, reverse engineering the trance. What's the situation? And then I could do how to reclaim your own thinking, that kind of thing.
Right.
But they really needed to get into that mode, that adrenaline mode, before they were willing to listen to something that might be the next step.
Yeah.
I don't like hand wringing. I don't like just go right. I don't like delivering messages where there's no, and here's what we can do about it, because we're not cattle. We're magicians.
Right.
We are the first magician. The title of the third installment of the trilogy is going to be I, magician. It's us. That's who we are.
Right.
So yes, so I'm running a studio. This is how I got to meet my lovely
Yeah,
Robin.
absolutely.
She jumped right in there with both her feet, said, yeah, bring it on.
I love your studios. I think everyone should be in them. And of course, I'm a bit biased, but it's so truthful. I mean,
It is truthful and it's useful. You have
very
tools.
useful.
That's the point. What I've done is taken some wisdom from someone at the early 20th century, and I've fleshed it out and I made it doable. It can be these things, right now, I don't think what we need to be doing is sitting at the feet of somebody who's giving us platitudes and aura and touch. That's fine, but we need some real practical stuff that we can do for ourselves. Otherwise, we're not being sovereign. We're just changing our focus of savior, really, in a way. Anyway,
That's true.
so what I do, what I had planned to do to begin with, and I still will do some of these, is have a Friday, Saturday combination where I would go somewhere and I would give the reverse engineer the trance lecture on the Friday night. And then on Saturday all day, we would do a sovereign imagination studio. I removed the word workshop. I'm trying so hard to remove the word workshop because I don't want that. I want it to be something else altogether. We hear words over and over and over, and they just kind of empty themselves of their meaning. And it's just good
So true.
it's good to find a different way to say things. So I call them studios. And what I discovered almost instantly is that there were people around the world who wanted to do it, but couldn't get to where I was and those sorts of things. And so what I do is I try to have one every Saturday where I am. And I try to make it at a time where most everybody can do a time adjustment and come. I think the one that Robin was in, I think she was there were you there at like 8 o'clock in the morning or 10?
I think 8 or 9. I think if you do it
Something like
on your
that.
time, it's about 9 my time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And then I had somebody
and I'm
in.
here on the west coast of the United States. So, I mean, and you're in London. So pretty
Yeah,
much,
it
I think,
works.
even I
It
think
works,
in
except
Australia, it works.
I still have to figure out Australia, but I think that's going to work because when I did Dan Schreiber's interview, it was 9 a.m. here and 6 p.m. there on the same day, which I guess because I'm in London, that works. It wouldn't work that way in the States, but it works that way here. So actually I can do same day in Australia. Australia is a completely different subject, though. That's the one country I've ever been to that's more closed down than the United States.
Really?
It's terrifying. It's so
Oh, my
shocking.
goodness.
It's terrifying. Anyway, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's really simple. My premise is really simple. The human imagination is the translator between the morphogenic field, which is pure potential, and everything that you materialize, the material plane, okay? And we are the only ones in the universe that can do that. And that is why we are they're after us all the time in every way they can think of, trying to shut us down. But in case you haven't noticed, it takes more and more and more from them because we're constantly leaking out of our boxes because they simply cannot contain us.
Exactly.
Then that makes us the original magicians. That makes us more powerful than anything you can think of. So what we need is to get in touch with, get the ability to use our own thoughts again. And the only way to do that to begin with is to try to decipher what's our thought and what's not our thought, what's out here. And I don't even think it's necessary to talk about all of the things that are out here and all of the things that are in there that are creating chaos in your mind, that are directing your thoughts, that are directing your actions, that have absolutely, it's just, if you sit there and just sit there and sort of listen to your mind for a minute, you're going to hear nothing but chaos.
Yep.
You know, picture, thought, word, picture, you know, it's nuts up there. That's not natural for us. We need to be able to get a hold of our own thinking, and there is a way to do it. Now, the original meditation, there is a meditation. I call it a material meditation because it isn't like any other meditation you might do. You construct it for yourself. You construct it for yourself, and it becomes a road for you. And it is constructed in such a way that it gets in through, well, it gets out first, out through every sheath in your body, which is physical, etheric, astral, up to the eye, and then back in. And then as you do this, you create a wave. Eventually, you create a wave. Now, you're on that path. You are able to just be you on that path. And everything here and everything here can't get in because you've got a real path. It's a material path. It isn't something that, you know, human beings are, as I said, they're magical. So they create metaphor and they do magic things and they make little stories as they're going along, and things get really fun and cool and groovy and kooky. And you can't do that. You can't do that. This exercise, it has to be stable and ahead. And you know, 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 and you know. And if you can get to the point where you can do that in 5, 6, 7 minutes a day, even just 5 minutes a day, all of this will get bored and go look for somebody else to bother. Yes. That's the whole, well, that's that's the first thing. That's the first thing that has to be done. It sounds simple. It's not simple. It is simple. It's not easy. It requires an act of will. Again, something we're getting really not so good at.
Right.
That one act of will. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to show up. I'm going to whatever. We're not good at that anymore. We need that one act of will. And maybe it takes 6 or 7 times of trying to get that act of will before you get there. But whatever. Listen, Robin and I have a great time. The girls, and I wish I got to get some guys. It's only the women who've had the guts to do this yet. But we have a really good time. It's extraordinarily. It brings us close. It's casual, but it's also quite serious. It's we talk to each other about what's coming up as we're going through the process. I have a little thing that I do. Wherein I'm using somebody else's tool from somebody else's, well, it's not somebody else's tool. It's a thing that other people do that we put together, and then we put it away, and then we bring it back later to use it as a thermometer. I mean, I don't want to. Anyway,
you can't tell too much because
I can't say too much because I want you to come and hang out with me. I want you to come and hang out with me. So I try to be very, very available.
What you were saying though, and you said this, I think. When you said it, it really hit me in the interview that you had with Dan recently on your Patreon channel, is the idea that so many words hold that preconceived notion and then they lose their power, which is why you've searched for a word other than workshop. But it's so true about so many things. So if you say, oh, to use a word that you may be familiar with, it's thus and so. Well, now they've already have this preconceived notion of what it is, but it really isn't. And part of being sovereign and learning, discovering that sovereign aspect of yourself is really coming to things fresh every time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not having this preconceived notion of what it is. So you're so right in that. And then what I found enjoyable about the studio is that Cara will say, okay, guys, this is what we're talking about today.
True.
And I'll be sitting there thinking, okay, righto, I can do that. You know?
Well, that's the
thing. Not a
it's
problem.
It's very
and I'm 3 or 4
it's very
days
friendly.
into it. Yeah, it is. And I'm 3 or 4
friendly.
days into the damn exercise. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah, I
believe
can't
it.
wait.
I ain't
I
got
can't
it
wait.
yet. You know what I mean?
I
Or,
know that
wow,
one.
this
Oh,
is good.
that's the
Or
second
I'm
one,
doing
right?
it before, or I'm doing it after. Or it is, but it's so much fun because
It is
it's
fun.
some of the simplest things that we do take for granted
Yeah.
that really point out the lack of sovereignty and the lack of our ability to
Are you in your
put
own
it
body?
first,
Right?
you know? So it's really, if I say for anyone who is under the sound of our voice, like they like to say from the pulpit, and you're at already
Do it.
to really say, hey, I'm on board with Cara's work or the work of people like Cara, or you're on this channel and you've been enjoying my work. I would definitely say do the studios. They're very affordable. I mean, I can't believe what you're charging for these things. You
We
might
got
as
to
well
get people in here.
because they're that affordable. We're talking about, $20, $15, $18. It depends on whatever you decide for at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's very affordable for for what you're doing. I mean, people who are not, it was a no-brainer for me. The minute
Yeah.
I saw it come across the thing, I'm like, I'm on that gal's studio. Are you kidding me? Like a no-brainer.
Right. And then after you've done the first exercise for about a month, I ask, okay, y'all ready to come back and talk about it? Let's talk about it. Let's find out what happened. And it's so funny too, because I'm gonna tell this. I had a couple of girls, no, I had about 4 people who really should have been able to come back to the second one, or come back to review.
Right.
Come back after a month and just say whatever, how's it going?
Okay.
And I finally said to Robin, you coming? You coming? And she's like, yeah, I'm coming. And then she got busy, and and then so I said, I know. So I put, okay, maybe it's time to do gaining control of the will. Let's do that too.
Exactly.
Everybody went, oh, okay, all right, okay. Anyway, it's lots of fun. It's very casual. But it's some of the
It
most
is.
important learning. It's some of the most important learning you'll ever do. And right now, frankly, I feel that it's critical. I feel that it's critical, absolutely critical.
And
One
there's
of the things,
self-sabotage that goes on because even in the point
yeah,
that, because we still have that program is still active because as
yeah,
to your point about the addictions that we don't know we're addicted to. Some of these things are in the realm of what we don't know that we don't know about ourselves at this point. And it's the
yeah,
constant discovering of that.
yeah.
But because even to the when you said, okay, we're going to sign, and I think it was on a Saturday. So I said, yep, good. I'll be there. That day
And
came
then you
and
were just,
went, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? And I'm thinking, I missed it, I couldn't believe it myself because I just generally don't do things like that. So then you sent it out again and said, the business about the will. And I'm like, hell yeah, I guess I need that.
okay.
And I'm
Well, I
pretty
know what she's
strong-willed,
saying.
but
I
it
know
was
what she's
just like,
saying.
it was that part of that, the self-sabotage piece, the piece that we all fall victim to that, like we know we're supposed to be doing this thing or we want to do this thing, but we'll kind of like the program will insert itself. We don't
There you go. See,
version of it, and it takes over for that period of time, just enough to divert our attention.
exactly. It's not the authentic us that's
No, it's
doing
not.
that.
No, it's not.
It's all the other stuff. All the other stuff. It's not the authentic us wouldn't have any problem with any of this.
None of it.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about
Yep.
quickly,
Please.
because Robin brought it up again, because we were just kind of, we were brainstorming, really heart-storming. I don't want to call it brainstorming, call it heart-storming.
Heartstone. I love
Because
it.
I don't want people to think that the seat of our mind is in our brain, because it's not.
It's not.
It's just not. Okay, is that she asked me if there was anything I'd been working on for a long time that it was dear to my heart,
Yes.
that I hadn't been able to finish or get back to, or had been distracted from completely. And in fact, there is something that was given to me as the next step, maybe. I'm trying to, I started a work very much like the Sun Thief, fictionalized, because it seemed like that was the best way to bring it, on this idea of the Pietà. The Pietà is something that comes to me in visions, that is important to me, that I see everywhere now in various forms.
Yeah.
For me, because, and this goes with the Fae, and it goes with the divine feminine, and it goes with all of these things. For me, the Pieta is a portal. Pieta is a portal to, let's say, I don't know how to even describe it. I suppose I could say the other side, but I'm probably going to have to take that back, because I need to work on this to find out what I'm saying.
Right.
What am I saying when I say that? But I promise you that I believe it to be true,
Mm-hmm.
that this reality of the Pieta is a portal. And some of the things that bring me to that thinking are wondering what is in the caverns beneath the Vatican,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that one of the ways I got started on that was knowing that art is potent.
Yep.
Art has you want to say art has a message, but that's like words are beggars when I'm trying to just say what I'm trying to say about this. But works of art have a charge. They have content. They have so much of almost everything in the way that we communicate is not verbal. Verbal is how we create.
Right.
Verbal is, music and all, because music comes from somewhere we don't even know where. I mean,
right.
that where is the bottom? Where is the bowl? Where's the pole where music is?
Exactly.
But works of art have symbols, I guess you could say, but that sounds external. And what I mean is content, inner content. That is meant to
agree with what you're saying. I know,
yeah.
as an
You know
artist
what I'm saying?
and a healer
Yeah.
myself, bringing so much through over the years, I know exactly what you mean. And to some of the work that you've done, and I know the work that I've been a part of with New Earth, with
Sylvie,
yeah.
Sylvia Ivanova.
I haven't been on her expeditions. Is the idea that the work of Alatola Flamenco. The idea that most of this has just happened in the last couple of years. So to the point of the art in the Vatican, I personally believe, haven't heard this anywhere, but just through my own research and belief and intuitiveness, is that stuff was taken down just a couple of years ago and stuffed in the Vatican. That then a lot of art was brought out. It was like artist workshops. Just create new paintings to put them up as if they've been there for thousands of years or hundreds of years. Because if you look at a lot of the iconic work that's up now, that's supposed to be several hundred years old, if you really look at the images and the insertion of stuff is pretty modern, even though it's supposed to be older times. And I think that the work that has been stuffed away, to your point, absolutely has an energy, a force field on it. It's living. And if that were still up, the illumination of the people would just be in full activation. So you can't replace it with this other story and try to get this lie going with all of this artwork that's holding certain vibration frequencies that are energetic. They're pulsating off of these pieces.
There's organic living communication.
Organic living communication.
We are supposed to resonate with it.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to activate things in us
yes.
as we come in contact with it. And that has been taken from us and put away so that we cannot see it.
I agree.
Which is what made me think about the Pieta, and my work it started as work with just thinking about Mary, but it wasn't very long before I knew that was just, Mary was a door. It's a door.
Yeah.
It's the name of a door, okay?
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. Mary is just the name of a door that you open.
Love it.
The Pieta itself is how you go through that. Since then, I have seen images of Pieta-like things, carvings, artwork, things like that are ugly, that are negative, that are meant to be something other than what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Perhaps they're meant to secure us to a spot or to a feeling or to a piece of negativity. I saw one in Italy, believe it or not, in rural Italy. I was visiting a place where there was a fake sword in a stone. There was a sword in a stone under glass somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. And then in the same church, maybe, I guess it was, anyway, monastery or something, there was this, I took a picture of it. Maybe I'll be able to put it up. this this form, this human form holding, draping, another human form. And I looked at it. I said to my husband, "Oh my God, that's a Pieta. Look at that. That's horrible. It's horrifying. What's going on there?" So you see, this is the work that
Yes, it's been replaced. It's a replacement work.
yes, it's been replaced. It's been replaced. Anyway, I have had this work going on underneath all this other stuff. Underneath all this other stuff. So now that I've kicked my way through the door, oh
Speaking
Robin,
of
oh
doors,
Robin, I
no,
love you.
I'm loving this though. I'm happy because, I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting here we're all listening to you. This is how you do things, Cara. You work it out, you talk it through because it's all in there. It's a big
Yeah,
jumble and
yeah.
you're
I
pulling it
don't.
out. It's a birth. We're birthing.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it in public. I don't mind doing it in
I
front of you.
appreciate
And I
that
think
about
we
you.
should all be doing this.
Yes.
We should all be doing this all the time.
Yes.
Never be afraid to just say what comes. Never be afraid to say what comes. Never be afraid to demonstrate that it's in communion that these things happen.
Right.
That it's in conversation that things are born. Don't ever be
And
afraid of that.
what you're doing right now is beautifully illustrating how the divine feminine works in us. It is a
Right.
birthing process, and it's a
Right.
process that sometimes is painful, it's sometimes elusive, but this is how things are really created. It's not
Yeah.
this little manifested little package that comes all and then you present it. That's
Right.
that's the hunter and gatherer. That's the divine masculine, which is nothing wrong with that because he drags that carcass back already dead and ready to present to his family as a done
Right.
deal. But women, we birth, and men do
Mhm.
too if they use their divine feminine. So this is not a male feminine female thing. But I mean, this is how this happens.
Well, and it's also a high priest thing. I finally came to the conclusion that all of the people who are out there lifting material from everybody else and then pretending it's their own, they don't want to be activists. They don't want to be people doing what we're doing. They want to be high priests. They want to be the holders of the secrets. There's nothing different about what they're doing.
No,
Nothing different about what they're doing than the Vatican has put out.
exactly.
So, what was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to say as well that I had mentioned this in Basis 45 Part 4. I mentioned this, and Miles cut it.
Oh,
This
really?
thing about the Pieta. Yeah. It
Well, there
didn't
you
come
go.
out.
There
It
you go.
didn't come out. How you
Because
like that?
it wasn't fitting into that agenda, but it's
No.
everything right now,
Right.
in terms of what's going on. And I just when I just sense, okay, I know there's something else that you're doing, from our talkings and stuff. And when you said it, I'm like, yeah, can we start talking a little bit about that? Let's start birthing
Right.
that thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Let's do. This is one of those things, though, that, it's one thing to write nonfiction. It's one thing to pull together facts and information and observations and opinions and things, and then cast it in your own way, make it unique enough to be readable and get people's attention and all those sorts of things, and put the pieces together that other people don't put together. That's a thing.
Right.
That's a thing.
Right.
It's another thing to channel this kind of material.
Yes.
It's painful.
Yeah.
It buzzes you. It buzzes you in super uncomfortable ways because I say channeling, but people aren't going to understand what I mean. Art comes from somewhere.
It's coming from.
This stuff comes from somewhere
It's a
through
flow.
us,
It's a flow.
which is what I really mean when I say we're tapping into the morphogenic field through our imagination. It's no different than that. We're not channeling entities. We're we're creating through our
It's the
imagination.
universal field of all consciousness that we're all connected
Exactly.
to. It's just remembering you're connected to it. And so, to your point, weren't you the one that came up with this thing called dangerous imagination?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's so. I mean, that's what's happening sometimes.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's not comfy cozy for a lot of people who read my stuff.
No. And I'm sure the process for you it's not a comfortable process. You're birthing this stuff right now. You're in the thick of a lot going on for you in this process. But you know what? I believe that as the work comes through us, as it's coming through you and those individuals who are out here doing their piece of their work, what's happening is that you're learning what it's experiential. So you begin to experience what you're bringing forth so
Yeah.
that you know it intimately, because anything that we really know we've experienced is experiential. And
Exactly.
so like what you're going through and birthing this work right now, it's experiential. You're experiencing what you're bringing forth, so that when you actually begin to really put this work out there, you also have the solutions. You also can tell people how to stand in it. And
That's
that's what's
exactly
happening,
it.
you know?
That's exactly it. If people aren't bringing that stuff,
Yeah.
that's a three-legged dog as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
okay? That's a three-legged dog. That ain't gonna stand.
It ain't
They
gonna
have to
stand.
also have, what do you do about it? Or what's the point? Or, they have to be headed that direction. And it has to be, in my view, it doesn't have to be somebody who has all the answers. My God.
No.
But it has to be somebody who's actively pursuing that path and saying, okay, come on, this is the way. I've got the torch. Let's go. It's this way, or maybe somebody else does it at a different time. But, I find myself embroiled in situations right now that are just, I mean, I've got this cease and desist right now. There are
Right.
things I can't talk about
I know
that
you.
are so stupid.
Right.
Anyway, regardless, Robin knows all. No, Robin doesn't know anything. What did I just
I don't
say?
know anything. But the
Because I'm
crazy
not
thing
talking.
about it is that, as you're talking, I was reminded of the words of Zora Neale Hurston in one of her novels. She says, there are some years, there are some years that ask questions, and there are others that answer them.
That provide
And at
answers.
the beginning, in January of every year, I ask myself, is this a year that's going to ask questions or answer them? And it's amazing, how there are some years that I'm just totally in questions, and they're okay not to have the answers right off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's
Right.
the process of discovery. But the answers will come if you stick with that flow of just being in questioning. It's like kids, you wonder. Think how, when you have your infant and they're 3 or 4 year olds and they're saying, Mommy, what's that? And what's that? And what's that? And what's that over there? And what's that over there? And what's that over there? I mean, we don't say, hey, bud, you got to have some answers here.
Right, right. And don't be afraid to do the process in communion with your fellows as you're going along the way, because anybody who's trying to pretend that they came with ready-made answers is really just being a high priest. I think it's okay to say, look,
I can't with
Sylvia
that.
does that. One of the most
I
important
love
people I
Sylvia.
know doing any research right now is Sylvia Ivanova. And
I love
she's
that woman.
constantly saying, I don't know, is this it? Is this not it? I'm going to find out. You want to come along? Have a look at this. This seems
It's
silly.
crazy because when I was on her expedition in Italy back in October, we were doing 14 days. It felt like 14 years hiking through, 15-mile hikes. I'm every bit of it, uphill, downhill, through caves, over bushes, being
Yeah.
snagged by, there was some kind of vines out there that literally reached out and grabbed you. And then you're trying to pull all your shit out and everything. It was amazing. But I was so thrilled by the thrill. I'm a thrill of the hunt kind of gal. But what was interesting is that in the evenings, we all had sort of like B&Bs. And so we had a couple shared B&Bs. And so me and my roommate, a wonderful woman, Maya, who has a great restaurant in the Umbria region. And so when we came in every evening, she just cooked these incredible meals from mushrooms and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm your sous chef at any point. I'll cut whatever because it was good. Well, we shared the same um, uh, place with Sylvie and her guy, the camera guy,
Uh-huh.
always so to
Yeah,
call the
yeah,
cameraman. But anyway, and so in the evenings after coming back and the brilliant mind that she is and all the work and all the places she's been, we would sit around the table and eat, and she'd say things. She always asked questions. She never said, what
right.
is this and
She
it's this
didn't tell you.
and she said, what do you
Yes.
think that was? And what do you think that's it? And what do you think about what we saw there? And how about, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And
love
isn't
that
that
about her
wonderful?
because she
Mm-hmm.
stayed in this place of curiosity, and she stayed in the place of conversing with others to take
Yeah.
in the full ball of information
Right.
and all the work that
Right.
she's done. You'd think she'd be saying, and this and this and this and this. No. And I
Everything she
love that
brings in
kind
a
of
form of a
energy.
question. Yeah.
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 And this is authentic. This is
It's
human.
authentic.
This is authentic us. And you should get in there and enjoy it and be part of get in there and mix it up. Get in there and mix it up. So shall I say, is there anything else you want to talk about, first of all?
No, I want you to go ahead and say what you were going to say. And I
Well,
wanted
I
to
was
talk
just
a little
going to
bit
give,
about your Patreon interview.
yeah, that's one of the things I want to do right now, because Robin's trying so hard to, help me across this transition
Rattle the
right
bush
now.
here. I mean,
Absolutely. The thing is, I need support.
Yes.
I freaking need support. I don't have marketing behind me. I am not going to stand here and tell you that I've had alien encounter. I mean, I'm not going to make crap up to get support.
People to support
I'm
you. Exactly.
just going to say what is authentic and what I think. Now, yeah, I talk about an alien seed race, which should be enough to, rattle people in the way I put it together. But it's, the sensationalism that's going on out there right now. It's like Marvel Comics, if you
Oh
don't
my
have
goodness.
if you don't have a Marvel Comics kind of angle going on, and you're not talking about people being abducted all the time, it's difficult to get people's attention. Nevertheless, I have come up with a couple of ways that are very simple and very inexpensive that mean the world to me, that will allow me to continue to create and to do this work and to get through to the other side and to reach as many people as I can reach.
Yes.
And to continue to write. I need to write. I need to get this stuff down. Okay, Robin has got, and she'll tell you about it in her way if she wants to.
No.
This donation, this program, the Arizona Artisans have put
Guild.
together a donation guild. Thank you. Have put together an audition donations program. So I'm gonna let her talk about that in a minute. But the two things that I'm doing is trying to come up with some capital funding, because my world has been rocked all year long for various reasons, various personal reasons. They're not funny. It's big time stuff, okay? And I've had a lot of help from a lot of people who follow me, and God bless you. You're some of the biggest hearts I've ever known in my life. I've been stunned, but I'm not through to the other side yet, gang. And it takes some stamina to help. The other thing I've done is set up a Patreon account. I cannot tell you how amazing I think this platform is, because like Robin, I'm committed. I am so committed to taking everything out that's between the artist or the creator and the person that receives the creation,
Right.
or that goes to get the creation. Between you and me, I want there to be almost nothing.
Right.
And so Patreon is one way to do that. And I'm trying to give value to my patrons. It's as little as $1 a month to join. And I've had people pledge $25 a month. You certainly don't have to do that. Do it if you can, or do you feel like you want to? And you can always change it, But that's one thing I'm trying to do very hard right now, is build a Patreon community for myself. It's working nicely. I love the platform. I bring my interviews there. I bring articles. There are various levels of what you can get based on what you're pledging. If you pledge $25 or up, you get studios. It's the price of a studio. You get to come.
Yeah.
So you get the Patreon, and you get to come to the studios when I have them. So
now the one that you did with Dan Schreiber, that it said part 1. Is there another part already in the can, or you're going to be
part 2? But you have to go to Patreon to get part 2. You have to sign up.
Oh, guys, yeah, we got to get part 2.
Yeah, part 1 is on my YouTube, and it's on my Patreon for everybody. There's a way you can make things public.
And
part 2 is for,
I didn't do yet. I've been busy with helping you with the fundraiser.
Yep.
And and guys, I've personally seeded into what Cara is doing.
Sure
I've never asked anybody to do anything that I haven't been willing to do myself.
Right.
And I went to sign up for the Patreon, but then you so graciously sent me the interview. But then I forgot to go back on and sign up. And I kept on thinking, where's part 2? Where's part 2? I'm like, wait a minute. You just said it. Okay, it's up there. So I got to go get it, because that was a great interview with Dan.
Yeah,
he is one of the top thinkers on the planet. I mean,
he's fantastic. He's fantastic.
He is so I went back and listened to one of his interviews about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's talking about us moving, plasmically through portals and stuff like that. He says, we're doing this now. Yeah. And I mean, we know we're doing it in 2017, but how many people really were aware of it back in 2012, 2011?
Yeah, exactly.
Conversations. So You got to see this interview with Dan Schreiber. Oh my goodness! So I'll get on Patreon immediately, my dear.
I forgot. Do it, and then you can kind of help describe how I've got it set up, and you can give me suggestions.
Okay, for sure.
I actually send emails to all my patrons periodically. I've got to ask for suggestions. Ask, what do you like and what do you not like, and I take polls to find out. I also produce once a month. I produce a newsletter that I call Grilled Cheese.
Oh, I like that. How did you?
I call it grilled cheese
because how you came up with grilled cheese.
Well, I call it grilled cheese because is there anything that catches your eye or makes you want to like bite into what's in front of you more than a beautiful picture of a luscious, melty grilled cheese?
Oh my goodness, you're right.
Come on, I'm right, aren't I?
It is. You're right.
That's my newsletter is called Grilled Cheese. Anyway, so there's 2 of them up now, and I do specific patron interviews where I cut them in half. Everybody does this.
Yeah, you have to.
I give you a nice chunk to the public and then another nice chunk to patrons only. And if the difference is donating $1 a month, I mean, come on, guys.
It's worth the information.
$1, and it means the world to me. It allows me to survive. Anyway, so I do have another one
about this whole thing for me too is the idea that, with having a channel myself and, the idea that people, want to sort of criticize you for, let's say, monetizing your channel or asking for, but no, but first of all, I'm over all of that. What really gets me is that no one has a problem with sitting down, look at television and getting 10. I mean, when we were kids, you had 1 commercial in between your programming. Now you get, sometimes I don't even look at television any longer, but the occasional football game, because I am a Steelers fan. Woo-hoo. You have to sit through like 10 to 12 commercials back to back to back to back. I sit and count them. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right. No one has a problem with that. You sit there and pay cable at $100 and something a month to then have your programs interrupted.
Yeah.
10 to 12 at a time.
Right.
But then people who are putting work forward, like yourself, myself, and so many others of us out here on these alternative platforms get criticized for asking for $1. Really?
Right.
Get over it. People have to live and have to be able to have way. And, there's a lot of work that goes into this, a tremendous amount of work.
You know how much work goes into this stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, I got to write the books at the same time, and I travel and things like that.
Yeah.
And to get to where I need to go.
You're supporting people at where you find value, at the level that you find value. That's all that's being asked. And really think about it. And plus, we realize that you attract your tribe, and you have your own tribe, Cara, and those people will support you, will continue to support you.
We got it.
And we're just saying, hey, you're changing platforms. You're changing the way that you're operating. Some of it you can't talk about now, but moving forward in the future, it'll become abundantly clear to your followers what's going on.
What's going on? Why?
For you to make a shift. You're at a fork of the road. You took it this way. And those are causing you to draw your funds from other alternative sources like Patreon, like fundraising campaigns, AAG, Arizona Artisans Guild, which I'm a co-founder of. We really support the artisans of all sorts. We created a fundraiser page for Cara. You will we believe in giving back. I'm a creature of the win-win. I don't ever ask for anything that I'm not willing to give something back. And so we have all kind of great gifts over there on the page. So it's ArizonaArtisansGuild.com. Hit the fundraiser link. There's signed books from Cara. Maria Wheatley has come in with her material. She even has some readings that you'll get. And Maria, she's my mentor in the earth sciences. We have the lay and the water is brilliant. And her readings are incredible. You have, Mike Williams and Mark Devlin, who are also giving at very generous levels. So go over there, guys, from simply as $1. You can get in and gift and also get the opportunity to support some incredible work on the planet that Cara is doing.
Yeah, did you realize also, I just did an interview with Terry Joyce out in LA, and she offered to make people laugh. That was her gift. She'll call you up and make you laugh if you donate. She said, I'm going to do it. I said, okay, great. Fantastic. But you have to also, I want to also say, I'm putting my old interviews up, I'm putting new interviews up, and I'm also getting back into interviewing. So I've got all kinds of new material I'm approaching. The Pieta, this idea of art with its content, and the Vatican and how they're getting into that and what we're going to do about that. There's wild magic and there's formal magic. Formal magic is not magic.
No.
Wild magic is authentic. Okay, and these are the things that we also have to look at. It's all about the imagination. It's all about magic. I also have to say, I'm doing interviews myself. I'm actually pretty good at it because I like people and I like to hear what they say.
No, you are. You're very good.
I'm doing Mark Devlin and Mike Williams on not just Music Con of the 20th century, which is social engineering, but also this whole Paul and it just Paul dead kind of thing. They really are experts in that. And Mark Devlin's been talking about all the deaths lately. He's got some theories about that.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about all that. Again, it's going to be half and half. I've got to offer value for my patrons.
Yes.
I've got to say thank you for that $1. Thank you. And here, this is for you then, for that $1.
Exactly.
And so I don't know if you're able to put the links up on your
I can
on your interview.
Yeah, you give me, if you send them to me in an email, I'll be more than happy to put them underneath this video.
I will do that. You can also find me I have an authors page on Facebook. I'm extraordinarily responsive. I love talking to my people. So find me somewhere. And if you can't find me, Robin knows where I am.
Conversation was on your authors page. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Robin will always know where I am. Okay. I don't always know where Robin is, but
I try to let you know. I was in the hills of Sedona the other day, and I come back, and you and Ann were just having this conversation. I'm like, oops. But when you get there, first of all, the reception goes down up there. You think you have phone reception, but half the time stuff is not coming through because you're surrounded by iron. All those big mountains and they are iron, and so you got a lot going on up there. So when I come back, I'm just happy-go-lucky looking at my phone, and I'm going, oops, I missed the entire day.
Oops, you can't do that.
I know.
You can't do that.
It's forbidden.
Anyway, so there's millions of ways to get hold of me. I'm always running fundraisers. It's not forever, guys. And I'm also doing the stuff that offers value for joining my patrons. So thank you, Robin, for helping me get the message out to, she's right, we got a tribe, we got to get the tribe together. Yes. And readjusting and reworking and letting go.
Yeah, definitely.
I kicked my way in, now I got to let go.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, you are. You're letting go, and that's part of the process that you're finding yourself in. But, I think the work that, your Pieta portal, and some of the talking that we did yesterday when you shared it with me, thank you. It is all about that light through the tunnel. And that's what's being revealed, and that's what you're going through right now. And you're using so much of the earth waters and that cleansing water to refresh your spirit. And you're just a champion for that right now. And I thank you for coming on today and just, courageously moving into opening up the space for this material.
Yep.
I'm fascinated. I can't wait to hear more about it, of course.
Well, I'm going to leave you with this. Okay. One of the most important visuals out there that goes to all of this, and you've all seen it, I'm sure, is this, painting, I guess. Let's say painting. This piece of art of what is supposed to be Mary standing on a planet with 12 stars around her head.
Yes.
Standing on what? What's her foot standing on?
Is it a serpent's head? Yep.
A serpent's head. Now, one way to interpret that is that that's Draco and the Fae. That was the first interpretation I came up with, was that was the Fae standing on, vanquishing Draco. But, it could be many things. It's an important visual to think about.
Yeah, it is.
I invite you to meditate on that one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, my dear. Well, listen, I know you got to get on. You got a lot going on there on those sides of the waters. And again, thank you. We'll be coming back with more of this whenever you want to. Put out pieces to the studio that
we've got to
we can do some of that here on the channel.
Well, we got to demonstrate how to get signed up for one of those.
Yes, so we'll do that. the next time, maybe next week sometime, we'll get on after you finish with what you've got going there.
Yep.
And we'll just kind of keep on moving forward, you know, in the work that you're doing.
Right.
You know, the Circle Healing Network is 100% behind the work that you're doing. And however
Right.
we or any of my followers can support it, I'm speaking for them, especially
Thank
my tribe of followers. I've got some pretty good ones there. You know, we got your
Oh, by
back.
the way, one of the things, thank you. And one of the things I forgot to mention is I'm reading one of my books aloud on Patreon right now.
That's
On
good.
Patreon. I'm reading Consolatus Companion, and I have been. I'm trying to put the second installment in today. It's the book that preceded The Sun Thief. It's about the shadow, our shadow side and the egregore.
Oh,
So
perfect. And you know, I'm a girl of the griot. I believe in the power of griot and the tradition of speaking and
yeah,
storytelling and remembering the storytelling. Because see, when you know, the printing press was a good thing, but like so many things, you know, it's a double-edged sword. And
right.
so it got you away from remembering and remember and the power of memory. And so stories were able to be changed at that point. And so much of the true history or the true past, let's say, was easily manipulated when you get people to start forgetting the stories. But when you
Right.
tell the
Right.
story and you use the power of the griot, wow, you know, we're back to empowering the sovereign self. So
Definitely.
thank you, my dear. And
Okay, love you.
love you so much. Take care. And to everyone out there with Circle Healing Network, thank you so much for hanging in here and enjoying us in the conversation and joining us in the conversation. And we'll be back for some more soon. Take
We
care.
will. Thanks.
Love you
Bye.
all. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.